Hello, this is Sanat here, and welcome back to Model Kit Monday. Today we're doing something special, and by special I mean incredibly large, as we have the high-grade Universal Century Narrative Gundam Apex equipped version. Now this is probably the largest main Gundam of a Gundam series project thing that we've gotten. Usually what we get is kind of a smaller, more baseline kit. Say for example, like the 00 Diver, little small thing. The Gundam Barbatos didn't have much. No, the Narrative Gundam here is just full on, let's give it the entire weapons arsenal pack and make it the only way to get the base version of the Narrative Gundam, that you also would have to buy an additional Premium Bandai piece to get the B packs, which got a lot more screen time, and the C packs is its own kit that's just at retail because that had the least amount of screen time out of all three. Maybe this whole thing wasn't planned out properly, but let's take a closer look at this kit and see what makes it pretty amazing. The Narrative Gundam itself is very thin. It's kind of like if you looked at somebody that, was one time a pro bodybuilder, but then only stuck to leg day and their arms just ended up shriveling up and looking really thin and lame. That being said, as a mobile suit, it's kind of interesting because you have kind of a skeletal look to it where it's a little bit thinner. And yeah, those arms are incredibly thin. Like, what the heck? There's no armor on them whatsoever. It's very clearly an unfinished Gundam. That being something based off of a Unicorn Gundam, this is definitely not quite a Unicorn Gundam. This thing is unfinished, it's kind of slapped together, and it's really just made for the explicit purpose of capturing the Phenex. And so because of that, you kind of need these additional weapon parts to make it anything interesting. That being said, as a kit, it's pretty solid. It's got the articulation you'd expect, a little bit of intricacy here and there, and you can wield a couple beam sabers because why not? It's beam sabers. But for the most part, it definitely feels like this kit was designed to be part of the Apex, and unless you have the B-Pack set, which is a Premium Bandai exclusive, you're not going to get a whole lot out of this, the base mobile suit on its own. Once you equip the Narrative Gundam with the Apex set, you get kind of a colossal monster. You go from something that is very thin, very skeletal, to something very large, impressive, imposing, something that can capture a golden phoenix out in space. With all of the size and bulk added to it, you kind of don't even notice there's a Gundam in there. It's kind of funny how the narrative just kind of slips away into the Apex itself. In canon, the mobile suit is very, very mobile in this mode, and its weaponry is extensive. And by extensive, I mean there is a lot of stuff here. So ignoring all the weapons, what you're left with is a kit that has replicated the look of this giant monster armor pack and done it very well and very intricately. Taking a look at the thrusters on the back of the Narrative Gundam Apex, you can notice that there is a total of, there's 6 attached to thruster pods, similar to the Full Armor Unicorn, and then there's an additional 4 that are attached to the legs, as well as just large leg armor. This thing is not meant for ground use at all. Like, you cannot use this thing in ground because it's just too heavy, it's too big, it'd never get anywhere. But in space, it's perfect. It gleams through the sky. It follows anything that it's looking for. And it has a lot of high capacity output in order to propel itself through the cosmos of space. Now, being something that only works in space, the kit includes its own stand. The stand is very wide, very large base, and comes with a specialized arm support that attaches into the framework of the Apex. So for example, instead of having everything plug onto the narrative and it falling apart because the narrative is too thin, the actual backpack clips into the back skirt and the stand connects into that. So you have a very stable kit. Like, this thing isn't going anywhere. It's there, it's stable, it's not moving. And that's really, really cool because I got other things that do not feel this stable. Now, looking over its weaponry, let's start with the basics. The 5-tube medium missile pods. There are 30 missiles stored in the Narrative Gundam Apex, and the kit replicates it pretty well. They're all sculpted in, but you have to add a little red dot sticker to each of them. And when I saw that there was going to be 30 of those, I decided just to bust out the old red Gundam marker and fill it in myself. So that's the only time I did any modification of this kit, and it kind of made it a lot easier. Due to the sculpting, paint didn't run everywhere, which is really handy, so it just kind of filled in really nice. There's also little covers that can be removed to cover the missiles or expose the missiles depending on your own preferences. Personally, I like to leave the missiles all open because in the anime itself, the panel will fly off and the missiles will splay out. It's really dynamic and fun. Now, having 2 normal beam sabers was not enough for this kit. You can attach the large beam sabers, which I've never seen a kit have beam sabers this large. They're probably perfect grade size beam sabers, if I were to take an educated guess on never seeing a perfect grade in person before. They're huge. They stick out the front, and it just extends the length of the narrative itself. They work as giant beam sabers in the anime. They work as giant beam sabers here. It's really cool. It's a nice effect, and it was something I wasn't expecting, but was really happy to see. Now, the narrative Gundam also has a high mega cannon in its waist, but there is no effect to show that, so it's going to be one of those things, kind of like the Sazabi, where it's like, it has a chest cannon thing, but you get no effects for it, so you kind of forget it's there. The final piece of equipment on the APACs that is also the most important to the story and the overall existence of the narrative Gundam is the Psycho Capture units. These appear as 2 3-pronged claws that slide down the rails of the large beam sabers and are able to form a capture field to catch the Phenex. Now, because you're adding additional weight onto the front of these rails, they include 2 smaller stands, which are very similar to the Dragon Ball Z figurized standard kits, in order to support the mobile suit so it doesn't just tip forward. It's really cool how they work because it's not an option part kind of thing. You have to add a couple pieces here and there, but they do actually slide down, which is really cool. And working with that, there is articulation that allows you to adjust the psycho field however you wish in order to, try to capture the Phenex. Now, I don't have an actual Phenex, but relatively speaking, you should be able to recreate the scene in the anime where the Phenex is trapped between the 2 claws, as long as you maybe do some Photoshop or create a new effect for it. Overall, it's like the centerpiece of the existence behind this mobile suit, and it's executed incredibly well, even if it's a little hard to get around the claws around the handles that the narrative holds, as that is a little tricky to figure out, but overall works incredibly well. So overall, the narrative Gundam Apex is pretty impressive. It's a really solid kit, it's really detailed, for being a high grade especially, and it has all of its weapons and features from the anime represented in some form. There's a little bit of weirdness just due to the price, and I know for a lot of people this is going to be out of their price field at $60 US. But if you can get it, I definitely recommend it. I picked mine up at a Barnes & Noble with a 20% off coupon, and I'm very happy with my purchase. This is something where we don't get these large-scale weapons kits very often. I think the last one we really got was the G-Self Assault Pack from G-Reca, which was 2014. So every time one of these comes around, it's a very special occasion. It's very cool. The unfortunate part is that the main Gundam of the narrative movie is stuck within, the armor pack, meaning that you have to spend a lot to get just the basic main mobile suit, which is a kind of a first, and well, it's not probably going to be the last either. We'll see how future projects handle things, but overall, I do highly recommend the narrative Gundam if it's in your price field. If not, definitely look at the C-Packs, as it's very similar to the base narrative with a few extra enhancements that might be more up your alley, especially if you want to have a smaller kit than this massive thing. But that does it for this week on Model Kit Monday. The show airs every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern and is followed up with Ninja Talks Gundam Live on Visible Ninja's YouTube channel at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about Gundam every week. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss this video or any others in the future, as the YouTube algorithm kind of doesn't let people know that I upload a video, and I put a lot of work in these so that everyone can enjoy them, and I hope you can get to see them. Also, if you have a custom that you want to submit to the upcoming custom spotlight video that I'm planning, send it in to either my Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at SoundOut12. Further details can be found in Model Kit Monday episode The Rebirth, which can be found in the channel or in the playlist at the end of this video that's marked Model Kit Monday. So that does it for this review. Be sure to check out Hero Club for all of your Gunpla news and more at hero-club.com. Until next time, this is Sound Out saying goodbye.